Hey y'all, it's Michelle, the Southern Shell, and I am here with another collaboration. And this is the first of the month collab, and it's hosted by Krista's Crafty Life and Rustic and Lace DIY with Brenda. And it is Patriotic DIYs. So let me show you what I did. So for project number one, I'm going to be using this burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree, and I believe, oh my goodness, I think they're all from Dollar Tree, but I'm not sure about the white one. I have some stars from Amazon. I have some Scrabble letters, and I have this board from Walmart that is a 5 by 12 pre-stained, and all I did was add some Waverly chalk paint in ocean blue. And you see, I am just dry brushing this over the top. I do not want full coverage. I want it to be a little messy, just like me. Once that gets all painted, I am going to set it to the side and let it fully dry. The next thing I want to do is get a coat onto these stars. I want this to be a rustic type of project. So I put some hazelnut down first, and I covered all of my stars front and back in a light coat of hazelnut. You see what a beautiful paint job that is. But then I come in with my Waverly white chalk paint and just drag that across the top of those stars. Look at that. How easy is that? No chipping, no sanding. It's just right there. I did that to all of my fronts and backs of my stars as well. Once those are done, they are set aside. I took my ribbon, since I have three different styles, I cut three of each at 13 inches because I wanted to have enough for me to attach to the bottom of the sign, and also to do any trimming if I need to for fray purposes here. Now, I know this red one is going to fray pretty bad, so I am just going to take some Mod Podge here, and on the ends of this particular one, actually I did all of them, I went ahead and Mod Podge the ends so that they would not fray. I am going to now dig out my Scrabble tiles and my stars and my board. They are all dry, and I'm going to spell out the word blessed. And so I'm digging through here and I'm pulling out all my letters. You don't really need to see me or watch me pull out all my letters, but I think you do. Blessed. There you go. Make sure your Scrabble tiles are all in the upright position. I had my S upside down there for a moment. And so what I did is I used my Type Bond quick and thick. I did not want to use hot glue on my letters because those Scrabble letters are a little glossy, and I'm too lazy to sand the back of them. So I just used my Type Bond quick and thick. Why not? Since this is a 12-inch board, I laid my ruler out underneath it, and Blessed has enough letters that it's perfect. I can lay that middle S right on the 6. So it's right in the middle of the 6, and then I go right in the middle of the 5 for the E. The second S is going to go right in the middle of the 7, the L. You can see what I'm doing here. It's all measured out, so I know it's going to be evenly spaced. And I went ahead and I wanted to make sure not only is it evenly spaced, but that it is going to be level. So I went ahead and took my ruler here and I just made sure it was on the edges nice, and then I pressed my blocks right on up into that ruler. Once again, I'm taking my Type Bond quick and thick and some hot glue for my stars. I knew it would take a little bit to dry, and those Blessed aren't going to take too long. They're going to be dry by the time this is done. But I'm just going to add some quick and thick around the edges, some hot glue right in the middle, and that's going to hold it down while that quick and thick is drying. Now, I don't want my glues to mix. I don't want them to touch each other because that's going to really mess with the integrities of the glue. I've now switched over. My sign is now upside down, and I have my ribbons here all cut out, and I'm just laying them out on how I think I want them on my board. So once again, 12 inches, 3 each. So I'm going to take my ruler, and right in the middle, it's going to be 4 inches, and I have 3 ribbons to cover 4 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and take I'm going to start with my white one, and I'm gluing it right in the middle, and then I'm going to move out and know that you can see I'm showing you, I've got those 4 inches in the middle and I have 3 ribbons to cover it. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay those down. And I did that with the other 2 sets as well. Now, this burlap does fray, so I went ahead and picked it up and I just trimmed right up along that line there. I did clean up that top a little bit later, and we're done. We're ready to go. So I went ahead and made a bow for the top of this. Well, first thing I did is I distressed it. It was too white for me. So I went ahead and just used my frayed burlap in my distressed oxide, and I just buffed up those ribbons so they're not so bright. I have some of this burlap twine ribbon. Okay, maybe. And I'm going to cut some pieces out here, and I'm just going to make a bow to go on the top. So this is your awareness. I twisted it like an awareness ribbon, folded the smaller piece in half, and then I wrapped that around and hot glued it to the back, and then wrapped it around the front and pulled it up nice and tight and glued it on down on the back side again. Now, when I glued the back side the second time, I made sure that I put enough in there, because this ribbon is actually very, it's holy. And so I wanted to make sure I had it covered. Don't forget to check out Krista and Brenda's channels linked in the description box below, along with all the other crafters in this collab. DIY number 2, I used a 4.5 ounce Pringle cans. That's your little ones. I used some skewers. I did not use the dowel rods. I did use skewers instead. And I have some Patriotic Americana, some fabrics, and I chose some with a smaller print to make some fabric flowers. First thing I did was cover that Pringles can with some Mod Podge so that I could actually paint on it, and I wouldn't have to worry about it peeling off or chipping on that can. So that was first easy step. While that is drying, I'm actually going to cut out my material into some circles. I used a dessert bowl, traced around it, and that ended up being 5 inches. I did a running stitch around the outside edge of that circle, and then I pulled that stitch tight, and that created this little rosette of a flower here. I think it turned out really cute. I made a little knot, tied it off, and now I have 6 of those done. I'm going to use the back side where they're cinched together because I think they look more like flowers, and I'm going to put the letters USA using, once again, my Scrabble tiles. Now, I probably should have used the Patriotic or the Quick and Thick on here instead of the hot glue. It's fine for the fabric, but not so fine for the glossy tiles. So I have stars that are going to go on this one as well, and so I'm doing the same process that I did with the ones on the first project I showed you. Hazelnut on there, front and back. Not worrying if it's a full coverage or not because it's rustic. What I did while those were drying is I took that same hazelnut and I did actually 2 coats after it dried around this Pringles can to help cover up some of that Pringle man. I don't want that popping out. So I went ahead and blew it dry a little bit with my heat gun because I was impatient. Once those are dry, I went ahead and finished the back side. Second coat's right there. You don't need to watch all this. I know it's redundant and I'm sorry. So once those are dry, once again, the white paint, just like I did the first ones, just a dry brush, and go with the grain, go with the wood grain. That's very important because that wood grain is there and it's just going to help slide on in there and make it look more finished. I don't know. Can a rustic project look finished? I don't know, guys. So here's where I have my skewers, my needle and thread still, but I have my skewers, and I'm going to go ahead and get them to the right size. And that's when I decided I wanted to use all skewers, no dowel. And so I cut them down to the sizes I need, used the hazelnut, and painted them all up except down at the bottom where they're going to actually go into the floral foam. I have this napkin here. I don't know where I've gotten it from because it actually had a flag on all four corners. I wanted to make sure it was straight because right at that, you can see right there, it actually had folded down a little bit, and I wanted that whole picture to be on there. So I'm going to Mod Podge this. No, I'm not painting this white because look, I want it to be rustic, and it actually turns out so good on this hazelnut background. I didn't have to grunge it up. It turned out so nice. So I put the Mod Podge across a piece there, and I took my napkin in the center and laid it down across my wet Mod Podge and then smoothed it around my container. For round containers like this, I find this to be the easiest way to do it. You still have to be careful with a napkin because if you pull and tug on it too much, you are going to tear it. So once I got this first part of the napkin on there, I trimmed off the stars off of the second little corner piece, and that fit perfectly over what was left over. It looks seamless across here, and I am so happy with the way this turned out. Just once again, a little bit of Mod Podge, slowly pull that down and lay it down there, and then I took some Mod Podge around the inside edge, and I just rolled that top napkin down and over so it looks like it has a finished top. I really like the way that turned out. So now it's all nice and dry, and I need to put a coat over the top of it. So once again, just be careful because it is a napkin, and put a generous coat. Well, I put a light coat first because I want it to dry nicely without tearing my napkin. And then I'm going to let that dry and make sure that's all I need on there. All right, so the next thing I need to do is get my stars and flowers attached. So I have this floral foam in the round. I got it from Dollar Tree, and it fits in there perfect. That's that Pringle can, Dollar Tree floral foam round. And now it's time to just get these glued on these skewer sticks. So I have my USA, I have my stars, I have my other little rosettes there, and I'm just going to use some hot glue on there, and I'm going to put the stars so that they're the tallest. So I'm going to use my tallest skewers. I'm going to lay them on the back there, but I'm going to put them at different heights so that they're not uniform. I want them to be at different heights. And a little different for each one, and I made sure I've got enough hot glue on the back there that they are not going to come undone. I have my USA. I want to make sure that my letters are going to be upright on the other side, so make sure you check that. And I went ahead and put some hot glue and put those USA florets together. Here I'm just making some little finger bows to go on the front of those other rosettes that I made. Super simple. Trim it off, hot glue it on. It's not going anywhere. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my skewers in there. I'm going to stick them in, and then I'm going to add some hot glue to my skewer stick and slide it right on in, and it's not going to move. It's going to hold on into that floral foam nicely. Mercy, I feel like I'm talking a mile a minute. So in goes my USA. They're going to be the next tallest. I want to add some twine rope. This is the thick twine. And I went ahead and started in the back center and hot glued it down. Look at that napkin on that hazelnut. That turned out beautiful. It's rustic, and I didn't have to do anything special. Okay, for my twine to go on my big rusty bell, I went ahead and hot glued the end of it so I can use it like a little needle. And then I pulled it right on through and then glued it right on back to itself and I brought it right on up the top and then laid it across the top and laid it down atop the original time I went around. Ay, ay, ay. Reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree. Nothing fancy here. I've had it forever and ever. And I just dabbed some hot glue, tapped it on in there, and that was that. I thought it needed something else, so I added those rusty bells on the skewers. and I did not film it. I'm so sorry. Guys, thank you so much for taking time today to join me crafting. I really do appreciate you. Please like, subscribe, and give me a thumbs up. Project number 3. This one actually took me the longest because there was a lot of dry time. I wanted to make a spinner. And so I have this board that I actually use to create my covers for my journals. I found this image on Fabrica.com, and then I sized it to fit my boards. I cut them out, but on the second one I left it and cut around the edges, as you can see here. And then I used that to cut my board because I did not want to cut detailed on that hardboard. No, thank you, but no. So what I did is I just went around it. I have some string that I'm actually going to put on in between there, and then we're going to Mod Podge it together. So I want this string on there, and I have this old wreath that I had created a long time ago, and I had torn off whatever was on there, and so I got all that cleaned off with my heat gun. I'm going to take my white twine here. I didn't want it to be too noticeable. So it's that off-white color. You can see how that's going to fit nicely on there. And so I'm looking to see where exactly I want my string to go. If it's going to come right up through that center there, I want it to go straight down and come out the bottom and not be cockeyed. So I went ahead and marked it, and that's where it's going to have to be. So I took my hot glue and I just laid a bead of hot glue down just like that and laid the center of my string in that hot glue. Now that didn't take long to set up at all. So what I'm doing next is I'm going to take my Mod Podge and I'm going to put a coat of Mod Podge all over that center, and then I'm going to sandwich those two pieces together. Now, when I cut out my images, when I printed them, I printed one in one direction and then I reversed it. Otherwise, I'm going to have eagles it's just not going to look right. You got to have them one reversed so it'll be the same on both sides. I'm going to take my masking tape and I am going to now wrap it. You can see here, I'm going to wrap it. Is that wrapping? I don't know, but we're going to put it all around the outer edge of this, where these boards have come together with that Mod Podge on in the center. Now, you could use wood. I don't have a laser cutter. I don't have a big old scroll saw. I have a hand miter saw. And so, no, that wasn't going to cut it. I'm like, I do have a Cricut Maker, so I could have cut this out on my Cricut Maker, but I just wanted to show you just in case you did not have any fancy schmancy tools. So, a dose of Mod Podge. I mean, good dose, because I am using Bounty paper towels, the quicker picker-upper. So once that Mod Podge dried on there, I'm going to lay my paper towels on top of it. Now my parchment paper and my iron. And I'm going to iron this down onto my my boards now. And I'm going to make sure that that is on there. And once it's all ironed on there, I'm going to flip it over, and I have a water pen. And this is it's a water pen. You can use it for watercolors. You can whatever you want to use it for. It's great for this purpose as well. I'm just taking it and wetting all the way around my paper towels. Now it is Bounty the quicker picker upper, so let's see how it holds up. I did have to put quite a bit of water on there for it to tear that easy. So once I had that done, I Mod Podged over the top of it and folded over. You can see it folded over, and it's kind of thick. But I'm going to add another good dose of Mod Podge onto the back of this now, nice and thick, because that paper towel is going to absorb that Mod Podge. I feel like I made a cast for my eagle. That's what I feel like I made. Once I got that ironed on there, you can see how nice that looked. Now it comes the big dose of Mod Podge, and this is going to go on both sides. Once that was dry, I took it outside and I spray painted it in acrylic, spray painted and in black, the Rust-Oleum black. And now look at how that eagle's going to look on there. I think it's just, oh, it's going to look stunning. So once again, I went ahead and put the Mod Podge on top and let it dry. I'm going to go ahead and iron that down. And once that gets ironed on there, I'm going to go ahead and do it on both sides because I am going to need to take this outside and spray it with a clear coat. I am going to Mod Podge over the top of it with my dishwasher safe, but I have an inkjet printer. If I try to Mod Podge over the top of my inkjet printer, it's going to run. So look at that. That is when it has been sprayed outside, and it looks great. You can still tell, you can tell that there's no Mod Podge on there, but it looks great. Now, the dishwasher safe Mod Podge is a high shine. So once I get that on there, it is going to just make this pop. I'm really glad. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So once it was done, I went ahead and attached it to that ring wreath that I had made. And let me show you how it turned out. Okay, y'all, I'm going to show you the final reveal, but I want to twist up my eagle real fast here because this is actually going to be hanging on the porch. I just can't get it out there on it right now. We do have a covered porch, and I'm going to let that go. And so when the wind picks up, you will see this beautiful eagle spinning on my porch. Look at how cute that turned out. I'm really happy. And then down here, we have our Rustic Flowers USA and our bells. Now, I did come in on here. I did not like the way that jute just looked because I had used the black on our bird. And so I went ahead and came in and just dry brushed some black acrylic paint over that. Now let's move on to our sign. Look at that. Look at how cute that turned out. Yes, my bee is crooked. You guys seen how hard I tried to get those straight, but that's okay. Look at how that turned out. I'm so happy with that. Guys, let me know. Whoops. Let me know what you think and which one of these was your favorite. Do you like that it's not big, that blessed sign? Do you like my spinning eagle? Or do you like my shabby flowers?